So, hello everyone, and welcome to another segment of Bella TV. My name is Jennifer, and I am joined by actor Eric Ladin. Eric, welcome to Bella TV.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Of course, very, very exciting stuff that you have coming up. But I have to say, I laughed when I was going through, your filmography and kind of your resume. I mean, you've been in what, hundreds of TV shows and films at this point?
It's a lot. It's a lot. Thank goodness. That's a good thing.
All good things, and not, to mention the fact that, I mean, some of them are the likes of Mad Men and Boardwalk Empire and Bosch and The Killing, just huge, massive projects. So let's start by, I guess, we'll go back to the beginning. How did you get your start in acting?
I always loved to perform. I always liked to entertain. I always liked to make people laugh. I was, certainly that kid. I have two boys, so you can see which one likes it and doesn't. I was certainly that kid from an early age, and always enjoyed it. When I was probably, 10, 11, 12, and that's really where I got on stage and I really loved it.
You knew.
Continued on through high school and then went to college and got a degree in theater at USC. But it wasn't really till I was probably at USC that I realized it was something I wanted to do as a career choice.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely been very busy since then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I personally have a favorite, I guess, of your projects, but I'm curious of all the things you've done, if you could name like a favorite project or character that you've played, or even, cast that you've worked with.
I mean, probably all three of those are different.
Yeah.
I would say that my favorite project, not necessarily the work, yes, but just overall experience, was a job I did years ago called Generation Kill for HBO. I think just the culmination of when it happened in my life. I was just turning 30. I was in Africa for 7 months.
Wow.
With 35 other guys who were all, we were all kind of in the same position. So the experience of that probably was my favorite in terms of like overall production. In terms of character, J. Edgar Hoover for Boardwalk Empire was awesome.
Yeah.
Really challenging. I was pretty intimidated by the thought of going up to do it, but so rewarding once I did.
Yeah. And how did you get into character for that? I mean, like, how did you get in that mindset?
Loads and loads and loads of research.
Yeah.
I honestly, I wasn't even going to do it. I wasn't going to put it on tape. They sent it to me and I was kind of in one of those moods where I was like, I'm not going to play J. Edgar Hoover. So I'm not doing this. And we had a new baby and I was exhausted. And my wife said, you're going to do this. So figure out a way to do it. I went to a friend's house. I put it on tape one time and I said, you send it, do whatever you want with it. And she sent it and I ended up getting it. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, I have to actually now I really have to work on this because I hadn't done any of the work beforehand. So yeah, I mean, luckily there's a lot of information about J. Edgar Hoover out there. So with somebody like that, I think you take as much as you can to begin the process. And then once you've started the process, you kind of have to let go of everything other than my work with my dialogue coach, dialect coach, whose name is Joel Goldies, who's phenomenal dialect coach. So working with him, but other than that, it's kind of like you have to just trust what you're doing and commit.
Yeah. Well, switching gears, I guess, from J. Edgar Hoover, probably my favorite show ever. If you haven't heard of it, for people who are watching, is Ozark. At this point, I feel like if you haven't watched it, I don't know what you're watching.
Right.
So season 4, final season, it was broken into 2 parts. Now I haven't finished the second part yet.
Okay.
I am slowly binging. But the first part of season 4, you played Carrie Stone. You had a cool role, I think, just because you were working directly with Ruth, who's obviously one of my favorite characters. So maybe for someone who hasn't seen the show, can you give us a little snippet of kind of who your character is?
Yeah, Carrie is a chef in this new world of influencer chef. Chefs over the last, let's call it 10, 12 years have just become like, influencers. They've become celebrities. Mm-hmm. And so Carrie Stone is certainly one of them. He has a restaurant in Chicago. He likes to play loose. He had met Ruth, Julia Garner's character, at the casino many times because he would go in and spend tons of money and enjoy himself. And so when she is now, I mean, this is, I guess, a spoiler if you're not caught up to, this past season, but she's now working with Darlene and she needs to get their heroin out. And so she thinks that the right way to do it is kind of like market to the upper echelon of crowd, right? Market to like the hipster heroin crowd. Right. There's a great line where she says, farm to needle. Yeah.
Terrible to laugh at, but true.
but true. I know it's not necessarily funny. But yeah, so she approaches me and basically wants me to use my network of people I know who are in the space, I guess, of using in the heroin space. Is that yeah? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. And so yeah, she wants me to use my influence capabilities to try to sell her heroin and market it to that crowd.
Right. And things obviously get a little dicey, as they always do on Ozark. But again, I don't want to ruin it if anyone hasn't seen it. So if you haven't, watch it. Obviously, we mentioned, Julia, working with her. I think Jason Bateman is one of my favorite people on the planet. Not that I know him personally, but I feel like that would be a really cool cast to work with, right?
Yeah, listen, they're a well-oiled machine at this point. I've had, I have friends who have been on the show, peers of mine, and have always said the most amazing things about their experience on that show.
Yeah.
And that, that starts with the top. It starts with Jason. Alexa Fogel, who cast that show, has a good track record of casting people that are cool and easy to work with. And so, yeah, they're a pretty tight-knit family. They all, from the cast to the crew, production, everybody's a really tight-knit family. And I, unfortunately was there during COVID, so there wasn't as much socializing outside of work as there typically would be when you're on a show like that and away on location. But Julia's, couldn't be a better scene partner. She's top-notch.
Yeah.
And we got along great. We have a lot of mutual friends. So that was fun. And I did get to meet Jason and talk to him a little bit. I hadn't met him before, but we had known of each other. And so it was good to finally get to meet him. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. I'm a huge fan of the shows. So it was pretty easy to step into.
Yeah, very cool. And you have a really exciting movie coming out soon. So Where the Crawdads Sing, written by Daisy Owens. It's been New York Times fiction bestseller. It was picked up by Reese Witherspoon's Hello Sunshine Book Club. Reese is also producing the movie. Taylor Swift is making the music for the movie. It's starring Daisy Edgar-Jones. The book has been huge. The movie looks amazing, and I know it's going to be a blockbuster. So for anyone maybe who hasn't read the book, could you give us a little background on the movie and then your character?
Sure. Well, if you haven't read the book, go read it. It's a quick read. I don't know if you've read it, Jennifer, but it's a really great book. I read it years ago and read it over the course of like a weekend and just really thought Delia did such an incredible job at the format in which she tells the story. But it's a coming of age story of this character, Kaya, who, wants to belong. And she lives out in the swamplands, the Carolinas, and it's a murder mystery as one of the guys in the town has been killed, and all fingers point to Kaya. And so as the book and movie both do, they kind of go back and forth between the courtroom and the real time as they kind of unweave this mystery. And I play the bad guy. The people
you play a lot of bad guys, by the way.
Yeah, the character that people aren't going to necessarily probably want to root for, but yeah, I play the attorney, the prosecuting attorney who is trying Kaya for murder, Daisy Edgar-Jones for murder. And I play opposite a phenomenal actor named David Strathairn, who's a character actor who has done, if I've done 100 jobs, he's done 5 trillion jobs. I mean, that guy's, he's never stopped working, and he's a brilliant actor. And so that was a lot of fun to work opposite him, and we had a good time.
Yeah. And I believe it's set to come out July 15th.
I believe that's right. Yeah. Is it July 15th or June 15th? It's July 15th, right?
I think it's July 15th.
July. Yeah. Yeah. I think July. I think that's right.
Very
big summer theatrical hit. So it's time for everybody to get back in the theater.
Yeah, agreed. I'm definitely going to see that. Do you have anything else in the works? Maybe something you're currently doing that you're allowed to share? Any other projects coming up?
An acting project that I shouldn't quite talk about, a developmental project, a development project. I develop shows, and so I'm actually currently working. I have a bit of a bourbon obsession, and have started to collect bourbon more than I can drink, honestly. But I like the hunt and the collection, and so this is a reality show based on the bourbon boom, which is happening right now.
Wow,
that's kind of taking the majority of my time at the moment.
Well, it sounds like fun.
It's once we get into production, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah. Do you drink bourbon?
I do. Whiskey, bourbon, depending on, but I do.
Okay, good. Well, so we'll have you out and you can have a glass and we can do a piece on it.
Deal. You give me the call. I'll be right there, ready to.
Yeah, but we have to do it in person. We can't share, a whiskey over Zoom.
Done.
All right, deal.
Done. We've discussed the Zoom thing. We're over it. We're ready for in person.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, Eric, thank you so much for joining us. Let everyone know where they can find you, follow along, find out more about this bourbon thing that we have going on. Those websites.
Yeah, the only social that I use is Instagram. So that'd probably be the best. Okay. So my Instagram handle is my name, EricLadin, Eric Ladin. And I try to post all work-related release stuff and developmental stuff on there. So
very exciting. Looking forward to where the Crawdads Sing. Congrats on everything in your massive resume, and looking forward to seeing you in this next role.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Jennifer. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Eric. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.